is to sign off on a form called your Approved Program Verification Form. You will need this. I'm going to back up a little bit here. When you go on the CDE website into Programs and Supports, Educator Preparation and Licensing, you're going to get to this site. You're going to need a bunch of stuff. Apply for a license. And yes, they just changed the site. I discovered that yesterday. First, teacher first or initial license. And there's a checklist. And among all those things is that APV. And we'll get to that in a second. You're going to need a bunch of stuff when you apply for jobs or when you apply for your license. There are a few things you need ahead of that. Number one, you need a professional email that is not a bear mail. Okay? Now, I'll tell you a couple things about that. One, I'm a Google guy, so I'm going to stand here and say, yeah, that's my friend. Gmail, woohoo! Get all kinds of storage. You've got access to the cloud through Google Docs and Forms, and that's my preference. However you can get a professional email outside of UNC that is connected to cloud storage, do that. If you haven't got it yet, do it immediately. All right? When you get to your school district, they're going to give you a school email, okay? But that's not the email you use to make your dentist appointment, to talk to your mom, to send photos of your kids. Do not mix professional and personal, ever. Okay? There is this Open Records Act in Colorado. It's called CORA, or Colorado Open Records Act. That means as a public school official, or even at a charter because they're on public money, anything that's attached to you or that you bring into the school can be requested in open records. The contents of your wallet, the emails on your professional email, anything that you have in the school, your purse, your folders, your folios, your day timer, it's all requestable. And you don't want to have a CORA request because somebody didn't like what happened in your school. So they request, oh, I don't know, let's say the 5th page of everybody's day timer from the whole school. Well, I hope that doesn't have, love you, sweetie, written in it. That would be kind of embarrassing because it could wind up in the paper. Okay? The Open Records Act is a friend to democracy, but it can be an embarrassing thing. You need to have your professional and your personal very separate. Now, with this cloud account, everything that's important to you needs to be scanned and up in the cloud. Okay? Your resume, every cover letter, and every resume and every cover letter is unique to each job. It's not like when I got out. We didn't have the cloud. The person standing here talking to little me back in '77 said, wrap it in plastic, put it in the freezer. A copy of everything. Because that's what doesn't burn in a fire. Okay? We don't do that anymore. We used to go write one good resume, take it to the printer, and make 100 copies because they weren't cheap. And you spent a lot of time picking just the right paper. We all chose the same paper. I don't know why it was, so hard, but we don't do that anymore. Everything you do now is electronic. Everything's uploaded. When you apply to CDE, when you apply to school districts, everything gets uploaded. There is no paper. Okay? Choose a good font. I like Times New Roman. Some people like Calibri. Don't use Comic Sans. Not okay. All right? Or Wingdings or something unreadable. Right? But all that stuff needs to be in the cloud. When you apply to CDE, you're uploading these things. When you apply to Applitrak, anybody ever seen Applitrak? Yeah. Applitrak is one of the electronic systems, one of the most popular electronic systems for job applications. It takes about 2 hours to fill out a job in Applitrak the first time. What's really nice though, is the next district you do, you can import everything you did. And do not use the same cover letter for 2 districts or 2 schools. Don't use the same resume. Look at the job ad and be very, very careful to notice what they're asking for. And make sure you use those action words on your resume, because they actually have electronic screeners. The electronic screener will go through all of them and say, all right, put these in order of the resume that had the highest frequency of action words off the ad. What? Well, it's a little gamesmanship, but it's true. Okay? Now, up in the cloud, you're going to have a bunch of things. Now I'm going to go specifically toward what you need for your license, okay? You need to have your driver's license front and back scanned, hopefully in color, up, and I know the new ones aren't very colorful, are they? The new licenses. If you've seen them, they're kind of like military license, green. And anyway, have a scan of that up in the cloud. Okay, you're going to want to have your official e-transcript. Now, as master's students, your program doesn't end until the end of summer, so we're not waiting for graduation. But when you have a grade in student teaching, and you see that on URSA, request an official e-transcript. It will come to you electronically, save it to the cloud. I feel like a swimmer now. Save it to the cloud, right? Because you'll be uploading it. And then after you have graduated with your master's, request another e-transcript and replace it. All right? The checklist also talks about fingerprints. Now, when you did your EDFE 125, you did fingerprints, right? Okay, CDE might have them. They've lost some.
How do we check the status on that?
Yeah, how many of you have a sublicense? Okay, they have your fingerprints, okay, because you couldn't have gotten it without it, okay? When you get down to the bottom of this checklist, it says register. See where it says register here? This opens an account. If you haven't done this before, go ahead and do it. And it'll say in there whether or not your fingerprint requirement has been met. And if you can't find it, call them. Okay? Because last semester there were 4 or 5 students for which they had no idea where the records went. The way it goes to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. CBI does an FBI background check in Colorado and national, and they send the report to CDE, and they don't keep it.
I thought they kept it for like a year.
CBI doesn't. I've tried.
Oh, because I worked for the licensure program at CSU, and you could easier than this find whether or not they had your fingerprints.
Well, that would be CDE. That was what they used to do, but they shut us out of that now.
Oh.
There used to be a way, even 2 months ago, that I could look on there and look for you.
Yeah.
But they shut all the colleges out.
Oh, that's nice.
It's so not okay. Because I want to be more helpful than that. If your fingerprints have been met, you don't have to send any more, but you have to have it. And definitely go on this registration and get, if you haven't done that, and get that going. If you have a sublicense, you already have an account. Don't lose that sign-in, your login and email, because that'll be the same one when you do your regular license. Okay? All right. Lists of names and colleges and their addresses where you've attended. Official transcript I talked about. Now, the APV, the dreaded APV, which is super easy. Uh-oh, it signed me out. talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, but it said even if you have a master's, I wanted
Okay, come back now. I am going to send tomorrow to my good friend John Shaw a blank APV, student information form, and an instruction packet. And it will be posted and sent to you. When you get to the end of this semester, I mean, we're having a great time here, at least I am, and I like you just fine, but I don't want to hear from you until the end of the semester, okay? Because I can't, I don't want to hold these, I'll lose it, I know me, okay? So you want to make sure that at the end of the semester, when you've got a grade for student teaching, you're going to fill out this APV, this form, the top of it. Now, I'm not showing you the whole form because you don't get to touch the rest of the form. That's me. That's all me and my assistant. But the top of it, you have to fill out. You are an in-state applicant in a traditional teacher education program. Okay? You check that. Whether you do it by hand, print it out and fill it out by hand, or if you can do it electronically either, please scan it and send it to me filled out as a PDF. And Cassie and I have been turning these around in actually days. Like 2 or 3 days, we can do it pretty fast if it's electronic. If you mail it to me and all that, it may take a couple weeks. But we will fill this out. The other form I'm going to ask you to fill out is this student information form. It's a Word doc. You can save the Word doc as a PDF, fill it out, send it, because then I know what kind of license you're applying for. Okay? I sign off on 64 different state licenses, and I don't want to mess yours up. Okay, my error rate is about 2%. I don't want you to be the 2%. Okay? It helps me when I know what it is you want. Go ahead, John.
Dr. Warren, it says program completion date. Do you want licensure completion or program completion?
Licensure completion.
So spring
Yeah,
17.
that'll be spring 17. And you'll be post-BA or MAT, and your licensure area, I think, is elementary education for here, for everybody here, right? Excellent. So super, super easy. And you're mixed up with several hundred other people, everything from deaf and hard of hearing to school counselors to everything. You're in those 64. I won't get yours as a group. You'll email it to me. And my email is super easy, charles.warren@unco.edu.
I'll put that in the email tomorrow. Right.
Perfect. That APV will go, okay? I will then email it back to you. And where are you going to put that copy, that PDF copy with my signature on it? Because then all you have to do is upload it. Now, there are some other things you're going to need to scan, right? Like your score report from Place or Praxis. Scan it and keep it in the cloud because it has to be uploaded as part of your application. If you've lost it, I can't give it to you. I know you gave it to me or Vicki, but I am not supposed to give it to you, all right? And they're $50 to replace it. So find it. They're good for 5 years. Okay, Praxis is probably good way longer than that. But Place is good for another 5 years because Place goes away after May 4th. They're done. No more Place, ever. We're not playing with Pearson anymore until they change contracts and get Pearson again. As of right now, they're not. Employment history, so know your details, who have you worked for, who are your supervisors, things like that, reason for leaving. And you're allowed to be vague on your reason for leaving. Got a new job, went back to school, things like that. You don't have to go into the dramatic, oh, he was having an affair with another person and I couldn't stand it, so I left. And nobody cares about that. Don't get dramatic, all right? And you are going to be asked the questions off of the oath and consent form. Okay, now oath and consent forms, you are going to fill those out many times. Okay, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands. Don't put your hand up, okay? Don't show me. But if you have a misdemeanor or a felony, you must disclose it. And you must write a paragraph about it. And you may be asked to provide court documentation of what the disposition of the case was. Okay, they have a whole group of people at CDE that investigate your backgrounds. If there's anything in there, they will go through and find it. If you fib on that form, you will not get licensed. Okay, because they'll find it out in the background check, right? Even if it's something as silly as an MIP, disclose it if it's a misdemeanor or a felony conviction. Now, if it's a petty offense, I don't know, somehow you got caught with $10 that wasn't yours out of the till and the lady at the gift shop prosecuted and it was a petty offense, that's not a misdemeanor or a felony, okay?
What about traffic stuff?
That's petty offense.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about the traffic
Then
stuff.
it's questionable.
Yeah. Unless the traffic offense was actually adjudicated as a misdemeanor. Okay? Now, CDE does license some felonies, but they will not do a license for anyone who's guilty of a crime against children or something to do with substance abuse or something with violence. They have a real problem with that. And if they're 10 years old, that's better. Okay? But if you beat up the neighbor yesterday because the dog took a, whatever on your lawn, no, they're not good. That's not okay. All right? So don't fib. Now, question number 2 always is, have you ever had a license suspended or revoked? Okay, now, any of you ever had a teaching license before? Okay, was it suspended or revoked? You're fine.
No, it just
See, you're good.
lapsed.
It lapsed. You don't have to worry about that. The State Department of Education does revoke licenses when people mess up. Okay? Now, what if you were a nurse and lost your nursing license? You would need to disclose that. Okay? So professional licenses, you would need to disclose. The third one is this kind of the tricky one, the silly one. Have you ever been fired from a job, basically is what it comes down to. Well, I got fired from Cricket on the Hearth when I was 17. I didn't show up for work that day, so he fired me. They're less concerned about the teenage jobs, okay? But did you have an issue with a job? You're going to have to say, yes, I left a job to avoid being fired, or I got fired. And then you're going to put in a paragraph. Now, what are they looking for? They want to know that you didn't lose your temper and punch out a customer. In other words, violence, drugs, kids. Those are the things that are really going to prevent a license, okay? Yeah.
So firing doesn't include like if you were let go because like the position you were in just didn't exist anymore, right?
No,
It's
if they
not-
eliminated the position, you
Yeah,
weren't
okay.
fired or resigned to
Okay.
avoid firing, right? Yeah, that happens
I
too,
just wanted to double
okay? So then, once you have everything in the cloud, everything on the checklist is done, you've got the APV from me, everything's ready to go, then you apply. Don't start the application if you can't finish it. And if it's like, oh shoot, I don't remember so-and-so's name, you can come back to it. It's open for 30 days. It's only open for 30 days. Then you have to start all over, okay? All right, now no one here has got ESL or CLD, right? Okay, what you're applying for is an endorsement on a license. The piece of paper is the license, or in the electronic file now, not so much the paper, okay? You can print it out. The endorsement is what's written on the license. It'll say elementary education, that's your endorsement. The license is the background. Some people have gotten as many as 5 endorsements. CLD, bilingual, Spanish, French, and Italian. I don't know, whatever it is. But you can have many endorsements on your license. Okay? Now, this license you get is called an initial license by the state. Okay? Your initial license is good for 3 years. And then when you get hired, in the first 45 seconds you have a license, sometime in the first 2 years, the district has to provide you with mentoring and something called induction. And you'll get an induction certificate, which you need to keep for life. And where are you going to keep it? In the freezer, right? In the cloud. Because you'll need, when you go for your 5-year professional, 3 years from now, you'll need the induction certificate. They won't give you the professional without your induction certificate. You can renew an initial, but I think you can only renew it once. Okay? And then beyond that, I mean, there's all kinds of fun licenses. I'm nationally licensed. I have a national board certification for middle school science. That means that, well, I actually have licenses in 7 states. A couple of them were just kind of fun. Because I found out Vermont was only $50. So whatever, I pulled it down out of the cloud and sent it to Vermont, and they sent me a Vermont teaching license. How cool was that? Because I thought I might move to Vermont, but I didn't. So the national board license is something you can't even start until you've been teaching 3 years. And then a national board license can get you the top license in the state of Colorado, which is called Master Teacher. And it's good for 7 years. Your national board license is good for 10. Okay? But right now, you're going for your initial first license. All right? So on your resume, it's going to say license pending May 2017, even though you still got to take 600 and what is it, 610?
SRM 600 and EDL 612.
Okay, 612 and 610, 600. Those are but you're anticipating your license May 17, and you're good to go. Okay. I'm so excited for you. I think that's why I'm a little silly today. Every time I get in front of a group of people who are about to go out there and start changing lives, like I was, and I mean, I've taught in 5 different school districts, and honestly, my 54-year-old 6th graders, I know I made them better people. I just do, okay? It's just, I'm excited for you. I think you are going to have amazing careers. Okay? There will be twists and turns and ups and downs. Okay? Be steady Eddie. Don't ride the drama roller coaster. Okay? It will drive you nuts. But you will have everything from that child who won a national contest in something to going to the funeral of a child. I mean, you'll have everything in between. And it's part of the humongous influence you have on these young people. You know, they do surveys of kids about who in their life is most influential to them. And it typically comes out, mom, teacher, dad. What? Yeah. Yeah, well, no, even boys.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, typically. Isn't that a surprise? It's like, what?